Welcome. In this video tutorial, we're going to take a look at the screen recording application Camtasia. Camtasia is a TechSmith product, and you can go to www.techsmith.com/Camtasia. Once you're there, you'll notice that there are both Windows and Mac versions of Camtasia. The Windows version is called Camtasia Studio, and it actually is a bit more robust than the Mac side of things. If you don't already have Camtasia installed on your computer, that's okay. You can click on Free Trial and download a free trial of Camtasia that will last for 30 days. This is a fully functioning trial. So you can take a look at all of the functionality. The price tag on this thing's not too high, so if your organization decides that it'll be a good fit, it seems like Camtasia is a pretty affordable option. Once you've installed Camtasia, it will show up in your programs. Go ahead and click on Camtasia Studio, and it'll take a few minutes to load up. Now for the trial version, it'll pop up and tell you how many days you have left. Go ahead and click that you would like to continue evaluating Camtasia and click Finish. And Camtasia Studio pops up. Now if it's the first time you've run the application, a window will pop up and ask you a number of different tasks that can be done to help get you oriented. Go ahead and close that window. What you see here is the editing interface for Camtasia. Now we have a viewing window, a clip library or a media library, and a timeline down here at the bottom. But before we look at the interface too much, let's just go ahead and jump right in and record the screen. There's a button to the top left of the interface that says record to screen. Now if you double click on it, you can see record to screen, record to PowerPoint if you choose the drop down menu. If you just click record to screen, it will pop open this interface. Now we see two elements here. One is a sort of lime green checked line with some drag points around the rectangle. And what that is that's the area that the screen recording will capture off of your desktop. And down here we have a menu with a number of options. The first thing you'd like to do is to choose the aspect ratio and pixel size of the area that you would like to capture. So you can click on the drop down menu and it gives you a number of options. Now I like to capture 720p, which is 1280 by 720 pixels, and what that is it's the highest version of HD that YouTube will accept. So if I know that I'm going to be dropping something into YouTube, I like to choose 1280 by 720, and I know that when I upload that to YouTube, that's going to be a really high quality video that YouTube's going to then take, and if viewers look at my video on YouTube, they'll be able to blow it up into full screen and it will retain that high definition. So go ahead and click 1280 by 720, and in your future projects you can choose other screen sizes or aspect ratios if you like. Note as well that you can change, when you choose 1280 by 720, that value is then filled into the menu here, and that you can change that by giving it a custom region just by entering in the pixel width and height that you would like. Next I'm going to choose this audio drop down menu, and I am working on a Mac that is running Parallels so that I can also run a Windows instance on the Mac. So you'll see that it says Parallels Audio Controller. Now what I do have it plugged in is a USB headset. What you want to do is you want to choose the audio input that's going to be your best audio. You can use the built-in microphone, but I find it's often best to use an external microphone or headset. So if you're on a PC and you have your USB headset plugged in, your USB headset will show up, or your other microphone will show up in this menu. So go ahead and remember to choose the audio input that you want to use. A few times I have started recording and then realized that I've used the built-in audio as opposed to the headset. Once you've chosen that, the menu will shrink down, and the next step, you can adjust the recording levels with the sliders here, and then go ahead and click record. Once you click record, you get a bit of a countdown. Your dotted line that went around the rectangle selected area now turns into 4 hot lime green corners, and that gives you an idea of what your recording area is going to be. The countdown will go 3, 2, 1, and once it hits 1, you are recording whatever is on the desktop within those 4 corners. So for this assignment, once you go ahead and open up an application, or in this instance I'll open up a browser, and notice that I have my 4 corners, and inside this I have my I have Internet Explorer opened up, and then there's a bit of blue area that's also going to be captured around my Internet Explorer. I can take my internet browser, line it up with one corner, and then size it down to the other corner. And so the point I'm trying to get across here is you can have a little bit of your desktop showing, or if you'd like the application window that you're using to take up the whole recording space, then go ahead and resize your application accordingly to fit within those 4 corners. And now, anything that comes up on the application you're using or within the browser will be recorded, as well as your voice, as well as your mouse movements. Once you're done recording, you will see that there is a little icon down here at the bottom that is, the icon is of a video camera. If you click on that, a menu will show up within your recording area. It'll show you the duration that you have recorded, and it will also give you a pause and a stop button. So when you're done recording, pop that little window open and then go ahead and press stop. Once you press stop, a preview window comes open. You're able to take a look at the whole shot and listen to the audio. Once you decide that you want to keep that piece of screen recording that you just did, then go ahead and click the Save and Edit button. If you find that it's a bad take and you don't want it at all, this is the point where you can click Delete. And finally, if you know that that's just the one take that you want to do and there's no editing needed, you can go ahead and click Produce and you'll be able to export that out. But for our purposes, go ahead and click Save and Edit, and what that will do is it will open it up, a save window. You'll give the video clip a name. Please, I like to create a folder, usually on my desktop, and save my assets in a folder so that I know all of the captures for this project are saved in this one folder. And also be sure to give your different clip captures a name that you'll be able to remember. I like to give it something like Capture-1, or Capture-1 is the default, I believe. I like to number my captures, that way I know the sequential order without having to pull them in and try to look at the time that they were recorded just by the file name that I've given them. Once you save that, your clip will now be opened up within the Camtasia Studio Editor. It asks you what size do you want your video to be. Now, you have captured your video originally at 1280 by 720. It's asking if you want to shrink your video on import into this editor. I find that that doesn't give you very much flexibility later if you want to make it bigger again. So what I like to do is import it at the same size that I recorded it. So in this instance it'll be 1280 by 720, and that way I have my full size recording to edit. Once I finish the import, now I have my clip in my editor and I can start to edit both the audio and the screen recorded video. Now let's take a look at the user interface. In the top left here is the media, the clip library, the clip bin, and I see my first clip, which I called Capture-1. By default, it has dropped that clip on my timeline for me, so I can take a look and see that that's about a minute of recording. And then over here to the right, I have my preview window with a series of play buttons, rewind buttons, etc. I also have a playhead, just like we've seen in the audio and video editors that we use, that I can scrub across my timeline here. So I am able to basically video edit my screen recording in the same way that we've done audio and video in our other projects. Now, before we start editing, let's go and grab one more screen recording clip. The way that I'm going to do that now is go back up to that top left and click record the screen, and it's going to take me right back to the interface that I saw before with the dotted or the checked line here outlining the capture area that I would like to use. By default, it goes directly back to that same area on the screen and the same size on the screen that I recorded before. I find that that's very helpful. I also like to, for example, if I'm recording a browser, just keep my browser open and right in the same place. That way when I go to record a second or third clip, everything is lined up and all I have to do basically is just hit the record button to start recording. Now once I do that, I once again get that countdown. The edges become, the checked line goes away and I get these hot green corners and I know that I'm recording live now. And I can do the next clip in my demonstration. Once I'm done recording, I go down to that video camera icon down in the bottom dock here. I click on that and it opens up that menu for me to look at the duration of the recording that I just made, and also I can pause and stop. So I'll go through that full process again. I click stop. I get the preview window for the new clip that I've just chosen, and if it looks good to me, it does. I'm going to click save and edit, and now I can save that second clip. We'll call that one capture 2, and we'll save it to that same folder where we captured it last time. It just automatically pops up there for me. I click save, and now it brings it right into my editor. So note, now I have 2 clips in my recording library, my bin up here, and I have the 2 clips on the timeline separated. So now we have 2 screen recorded clips on our timeline. I know that the first question you're asking is, how can I trim and edit the length of a clip? And we're going to do that in much the same way we did with the video and the audio editor, by moving our timeline moving our playhead here to the place on the timeline where we want to make a split in the recording. I'm going to put my playhead at where I want the beginning of my clip to start. I leave my playhead right there. I go to the edit drop down menu at the top of the application and I can click split. And when I do that, it puts a split right in that clip of audio on the timeline for me. Now I can highlight the clip that I want to delete off the timeline, and I find that by default when I click on the clip, note that we have video 1, the first track is video 1, and that is connected to the audio track 1. That's the clip that we just recorded, the audio and video together. And note that there's an audio 2 track. I'm curious to find what you find. I find that when I make a recording, it automatically wants to add some content down here in the audio track number 2. And there's not necessarily anything on that audio track, it's just filling up the space. So when I go up to edit, I highlight the clip here that I want to delete, and I go up to edit, and I click cut. And when I do that, I now have it has taken the clip that I wanted to delete off. It moves everything over to the left, so I have the clip that I just edited and the second clip that I recorded. And now down here on audio 2, I only have these two pieces that are left, but they don't move to the left with those other chunks of audio. So, you know, when I've done this edit before, it makes me a little confused. All of a sudden, it looks like I have some things on my timeline that are a little off, when in actuality, what it seems to me is what's happening on this audio too is there's actually no audio there. So what I like to do is I just like to grab these little pieces of audio that don't have any audio information on them down here in audio 2. I just click on them and just cut those right off the timeline. So now what I have are the 2 clips that I pulled down from my bin and just the audio that I recorded through my microphone. Now you might experience when you bring them in that nothing pulls into that audio track 2 for you. And if that's the case, then just ignore that. But I did want to let you know that I was experiencing that, just so it wouldn't confuse you. So Once again, wherever you place you have to select a clip by clicking on it. It highlights in blue. And then go ahead and go up to Edit and click Split. And when you do that, it puts a split wherever on the wherever the playhead is on the timeline. Then you can highlight the chunk that you want to get rid of by clicking on it, and it's highlighted in blue. And then you can click on, you can right click and press Cut, or you can go to Edit and press Cut. And that is the way to trim and crop. I find the easiest way to trim and crop your clips on the timeline. Very similar to what we've seen both in the audio and the video editors. Next, let's take a look at importing some other types of media. We're going to take a look at importing an MP3 track, an external audio track, as well as a still image. I'm going to start that by going to File and click Import Media. I have a folder on my desktop already named Assets, and I can click on this screenshot that I had created previously, just an image file. I click that image file and press Open, and it brings it right into my media library. I'm going to go to File and click Import Media again, and this time I'm going to choose the Big Bill Brunzi MP3 that we've used a number of times in this class. I'm going to click Open, and that will bring that into my media library as well. So note that now I have a still image file, an MP3 file, as well as two clips that I've recorded, and you can see how they are organized up there in that clip manager. So what I can do is go ahead and just click on my still image up here in my media bin and drag it right down to my timeline. Here you can see that it is now on video track 1 at the end of my 2 clips. I can grab a hold of it and move it down the timeline and just place it in between my 2 clips, and so now I have one clip that moves into a still image and then moves into a second clip. Notice that the still image has no audio associated with it in audio track 1, so there you can see the split in audio that occurs on that audio track 1. And I can do the same thing with the audio file. I just grab a hold of it in here in my clip media bin and drag it right down onto my timeline. And I'm going to drag this MP3 file right down onto audio track 2. Now, once again, we've got about 2 minutes or less worth of screen capture, but the MP3 itself is close to 3.5 minutes. So what I need to do is trim that audio right down. I can place the playhead right over the top of the audio where I want to split. I select my audio track first, so it's highlighted in blue. Then I can place my playhead right on the timeline where I want to create that split. I can right click and click split, or I can go to the edit drop down menu and click split, and it will put a split right in my audio track now. I can select the back portion of this audio track here. You can see that it's highlighted in blue, and I can go ahead and right click on that, and I will just cut that right out of there. So now I have maybe a 30-second chunk of audio, and we've done this also in our audio and our video editors before. Now I have this trimmed piece of audio, and I can move it around on audio track 2. Next, let's take a look at transitions. Now, in between the clip bin and the timeline down here at the bottom, there's a menu, and I see clip bin, library, callouts, zoom and pan, audio, transitions. This is the menu that where you're able to grab a number of options, and what it does, if you go ahead and double click on transitions, you'll notice that the clip bin is replaced now with the menu of transitions, and we've seen similar interfaces to this before. When you go into transitions, notice that the timeline is now replaced sort of by a storyboard here of our individual clips, and we get this little arrow in between. This little rectangle with an arrow in it, and what that does is that is the place where you can apply your transition. So if I want to do just a straight fade between clip 1 and clip 2, I can grab the fade transition by highlighting it, and then I just drag it right down into that little box that has the arrow between my clip 1 and clip 2, and in essence I have my my fade between those clips now. So I can apply my transitions by clicking on the transition icon in this middle menu here. Then I get this interface where I can drag my transitions in and out. To get back to my clip bin, I just go ahead and click on my my clip bin icon, and there, there are my clips, and I'm able to see that on my timeline. Note that I can select my audio track down here. I'm going to click on the Big Bill Brunsey, and now I click on the audio icon in that middle menu there between the clips and the timeline. And when I do that, now I'm given a full audio editor where I can go in and I can adjust by clicking on that red line that goes across to the audio track. I can grab a hold of it, I can pull it down, that's going to decrease my volume, I can volume it up, and also you have a number of other options here to work with your audio. So I'm not going to step through all of these options, but just take note when you click on audio, you can start to select an individual piece of audio, and then you can start to work with that audio clip individually. Next, if I take a look at the cursor effects, there are a number of options for me to animate my cursor within the screen recording window. Now, it will record the cursor movements that you have made, but if those cursor movements aren't the ones you want, you can basically come in here and create cursor movements and cursor animations. So what I'm going to do now is show you some of these options down here in this menu between sort of the clip bin area and the timeline. Some of those nice features that are included within the Camtasia Studio for Windows. You've got a zoom and pan effect. We talked about the Ken Burns effect. Well, you can get a similar effect within Camtasia Studio, and in particular when you're doing a tutorial and you're trying to focus your attention on a specific area of the application, the zoom and pan feature might be extremely useful. So if you click zoom and pan, once again, you get an interface where you can start to create those animations. If you click the More button, you will find some other options such as titles, where you can add titles. You can do voice narration. You can record your video camera. You can add quizzes, and you can also do that picture-in-picture, that some of us have spoken about in class. For example, a web camera narration window over the top of your screen capture. So this application lets you do that. So I'll let you explore those elements on your own. I'm going to click Clip Library and go back over here. And basically, I have edited together my piece. A couple clips here, a still image, and some audio. And I have my 2-minute piece ready to go. So I've been saving all along, of course, and the next thing I'm going to do is to go to File, and I'm going to choose Produce and Share. When I do that, I get this production wizard that pops up. It asks me how I want to produce my video. When I click the drop-down menu, notice it gives me a number of presets that are ready to go. We're going to be working with the web. But what I encourage you to do now is choose Custom Production Settings. I find that when we do an advanced export or custom settings, it always gives us the most flexibility. So it's good for you to figure out how to change those settings and wrap your mind around those settings. So go ahead and click Custom Production Settings and then click Next. Note that the dimensions are 1280 by 720. That's what we recorded. So you click Next and you get a number of options here. If you're looking to create an MPEG-4, go ahead and click this version here, which is the Flash Outputs. When I've done this in the past, what it does is it creates a folder, and in that folder are an FLV, an SWF, which are flash wrappers, and also an MPEG-4 video. So if you're not looking for the flash, but you just want an MP4 file, you can save it like this. It'll create a folder for you with your file inside of it, and then you can go in there and find your MPEG-4 file. And it's a nice looking MPEG-4. Other formats that you can choose are below. And since we're working with Windows right now, why don't we go ahead and click WMV? Of course, YouTube will take WMV, MOV, AVI, MPEG-4, all of those. So let's click Windows Movie File and click Next. Now, there are a number of profiles available. And what I'm going from the drop down menu, what I'm going to choose here is this recommended one, which is Studio Best Quality and File Size. Then it takes me to my video size, and this is the point. If you decide that you want to shrink your video from its initial recording size, this is the place where you can do it. And what I would urge you to do is always maintain that aspect ratio so it doesn't get distorted on the export. Go ahead and click Next once you've chosen your video size. We have a number of video options here. SCORM, we've talked about learning objects and learning object repositories. So you can do some video tags. You can include a watermark that would basically help keep your content from being ripped and used in other people's projects. So go ahead and basically you can find the image and put a watermark over the top. If you would like to have Camtasia create an HTML page with a video embed for you, you can choose embed video in HTML, and when it exports it'll give you all of the HTML code as well as your video file. Let's leave all of these blank. All we really want is that video file so we can upload it to YouTube for the assignment. I'm going to click Next. It asks you if you would like to produce a table of contents. In this instance, I'm going to say no. I'm going to click Next. And here's the point where you give your file, your video file, a name. I always like to use my name and sort of a description of the file. You can also search for where you'd like to save it. I'm just going to save it right onto a desktop. And I like to keep this checked right here where it says Organize Produce Files and Subfolders. Basically, it's just going to create a folder for me on my desktop, and in that folder is going to be my video file. I like to do that just in case it decides it wants to generate some other files like an HTML file. It'll all be together in one place. Once you've named it and decided where you're going to save your file, go ahead and click Finish. And of course, like always, when you do an export, it takes a while. And you get this, once it's complete, you get this results window that pops up. It tells you the duration and the size of the file that you exported, the screen size, and all of the options that you chose on export. This is just a report. Go ahead and click Finish. I'm going to look on my desktop, and there it is. There's the folder that I exported. It's named Skinner OLIT 522. So it exported out a folder for me, and there's my video file right there, Skinner OLIT 522. So we have recorded our screen, added some effects, and edited it on the timeline, and then exported it out into a video file format that we can upload to YouTube. And once again, for this assignment, please upload your screen recording to YouTube and then send me the URL using WebCT, and I look forward to taking a look at your recordings. If you have any questions, please let me know, and thanks for watching.